Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back to Daryl D TV, and welcome to part 7 of my Richard Corben comic collection so far. Now, this one is a very exciting one for me. I think this might be my most exciting haul to actually show you guys, and the reason being is that there's a few books that I'm going to show you today that I wasn't sure if I would ever own them for some reason or another, either because of how scarce they were or because of how much money they normally go for. But I'm really looking forward to showing you what I picked up. So let's get right into it. Okay, so the first book that I want to show you, and I've actually been able to complete this run off of Vertical DC. It's Congo Bill. This is number 2. And Congo Bill number 3. Now, in the previous video, I showed you 1 and 4. There's only 4 in this series. Excuse me, I have a tickle in my throat. Bear with me. There's only 4 issues in this series. And so this run I'm complete with. Now, even though I haven't got a chance to read this, I did flip through it. And this was one of those books where Corben just did the cover art on it. He doesn't do any of the inside art, but the artist that does do the inside art does an incredible job. The writer is Scott Cunningham, and the artist is Daniel Z something, I don't know. Somebody's got to help me out with that. We'll just call him Daniel Z, okay? So let's take a look at some of this artwork inside of Congo Bill. Okay, so as you can see here, you've got some very, very dark colors and shades and whatnot. This is like really, really cool. Doesn't take away from the fact that Corben didn't do the artwork himself. It's just a really, really great style. You know, this kind of art is right up my alley, and I think it really, really goes along with the whole storyline of, you know, the whole King Kong in the jungle type of story. Look at this. Some beautiful, beautiful artwork there. And I'm really looking forward to diving a little deeper inside of this book. Like I said, I didn't have the whole series. Now I do. And I'm really looking forward to it. So yeah, big ups not only to Richard for doing the cover, but for Daniel Z for the incredible artwork inside Congo Bill number 2 and number 3. Great, great books. Next up, excuse me, I finished another run. This one would be Aliens Alchemy on Dark Horse. This is issue number 1. See if I can get a better view here. There we go. Then we've got issue number 3. In a previous video, I showed you issue number 2. There's only 3 books in this series, so this run is now complete. Classic Corben art. Move my camera a little so you can get a better view. There we go. Classic Corben art on that one. Never really been much of a fan of the Aliens movie or comic or anything that has to do with that whole franchise at all. But oh, and again, this is another cover only book, so I'm not sure how deep. There's Corben's tag. I'm not sure how much I'll even dive into the innards of that book, but definitely had to get it just for the cover. Next up, we have Aliens again and the completion of another run. This one is Alien versus Predator. Now this is issue number 0. This is from Dark Horse, and this is a 4-issue series. In a previous video, I showed you issue number 4. So here we have issue 0. Issue number 1. Here we have issue number 4, Alien versus Predator, and this is the war book, 5 in this run. And last but not least, we have, this is issue number 3 of 4 issues, 5 including issue number 0. Number 3, Alien versus Predator War. You know, while looking for that particular book, I actually ran across a Alien versus Archie or something like that. Predator versus Archie. Boy, it takes all kinds nowadays. Next up, the very last Dark Horse Presents that I was looking for that features Richard Corben was issue number 29. This features a story by Neil Adams. This was one of the Dark Horse 64-page books, so super thick. These retail for about $7.99 each, so they were not cheap. I'm not sure how long ago they stopped making these, or I'm not sure if they're still making them right now, but this was the last one I was looking for that featured Richard Corben, so that should be cool. Excuse me. Now, next up was one of those books I was talking about. For months, I've been looking for this book, and it was like really high, a lot more than I wanted to pay for it. Now that I actually found one and bought it, it seems like the prices have kind of dropped or whatever. Doesn't it always turn out that way? I was really happy to find this book. This was a one-shot from Dark Horse Comics, and this is Murky World from Richard Corben. I can't remember what I paid for this, but it was substantially lower than what it usually goes for. I was seeing this book for $35 to maybe $45 pretty consistently. And so when I was able to land this puppy, I was extremely happy, and it's in excellent condition. This was a very exciting find for me. I don't even remember where I found it. I probably found it on some website somewhere. But this was one of them that was very challenging for me to even get my hands on. Next up, we have another one, just the same. This is Anomaly number 4. I've been looking for this for a decent price forever. What did I pay for this? What did I pay for this? I don't even remember, but it was slightly lower than what it normally goes for. I know there was one here in town for 25 bucks, and that's the only one I've seen as far as in town. I definitely got this off of the internet. I'm not sure which website I got it for, but I definitely paid less than, I think maybe I paid 12 bucks for this or something like that. But I don't know, this cover is just super duper cool, and I always wanted, from the first time I saw it, I was like, I gotta have this book. Looking. Now, of course, they seem to be all over the internet. But, hey, I got it now, so the search is over. So that one was one of the top ones on my list that I was looking for. Next up is a familiar comic to some of you guys. This is off of Last Gasp. Skull Comics number 5. I believe this is number 5. Number 2. I'm sorry. Skull Comics number 2. Definitely multiple stories in this one. Corben's in there somewhere. Skull, as you know, was a underground comic that dealt with a lot of horror stories, which is one of my favorites. So of course I had to get that. I think I need one more Skull comic. I think I need number 5 to finish that that run of Corben books that he did under that title. Next up, this was a book I picked up at a local toy show here in town. This is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue number 2. This was from the first series. Would you look at that cover? Is that not cool or what? I have never ever been attracted to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at all until I saw Corben draw them. And that just kind of pulled me in. Now, this is another one where Richard just did the cover art. He's not featured inside, but man, would you look at that art. I mean, that is just classic Corben style. Paid a lot more for this than I should have. I won't say what I paid for it. I'm too embarrassed. But it was more than I wanted to pay. But I thought that was the best deal that I could find, because all of the ones that I looked or that I found previously were a lot more than what I paid for this one. And now, of course, I see them a lot cheaper. But what are you gonna do? Can't cry about it, right? Okay, woo. Well, would you look at that? Next up is actually Skull Comics number 5. Okay. So I think I got all my Skull Comics featuring Mr. Corben. I think that about does it. This cover is pretty far out there, you know. This is not his art on the cover, by the way. He's featured on the inside. He has one of the stories on the inside of this book. But I think I'm done with the Skull series as far as Corben is concerned. Now this next one is super duper special. I can't tell you how excited I was to find this. Now, I thought I had this book on my list, and then somewhere I got the idea that it was a magazine, a comic magazine. I'm not really focused on the comic magazines as of yet. If I come across them and they're a good price, I'll definitely pick them up. But I'm not necessarily looking for them. So when I got the idea it was a magazine, I said, we'll do that some other time. So I removed it from my list. And then recently, while digging at a buddy's store here in town, I just randomly ran across it, or I ran across this series, or this title rather, and I go, let me see if this book is in here, because it is a variant cover, and I guess it's the variant cover, Richard Corben cover, that kind of drives up the price, because the other books don't really go for that much. I pulled this out. I couldn't believe it. This is, let's see, this is Rumble number 13 from Image Comics. This was one of those books that I definitely didn't think I would ever have. I did not think that this book would ever be a part of my collection. Now, I couldn't find it on any website out there. I definitely didn't see it in any of the local stores here, and we got a nice amount of stores here in Phoenix. But the only website that I found it on was eBay, and one was $100. There was only two at the time for since I first started looking. One was $100, one was $200. somebody just recently posted one for 75 bucks. Well, when I was looking through the R's at Ash Avenue Comics here in Arizona, Tempe, Arizona, I came across this for a cool $4.50. I couldn't believe it. What a score this was. Rumble number 13, Richard Corben, variant cover on that one. Very scarce, apparently. You don't come across it often. There's a classic Corb tab. Wow. Couldn't be more happier. Thank you, Ash Avenue. Okay. The next one is kind of funny. I'm going to pull this one out because I actually want to give you a quick look inside because I had to take a look at this. I haven't gotten around to reading it, but I say, hey, I got to take a look inside here. This is from Vertigo, and it's called Heartthrob. Heartthrob. Yeah, that kind of heartthrob. This is a romance comic. Richard Corben in a romance comic? Yeah, apparently so. And he does the story about a man who falls in love with a female alien. None of this is Richard Corben art. He's featured on the inside. Let's take a look, because at first glance I thought, I don't know if, what to expect from here, what to expect. But I flip through it and I go, oh, okay, this works out pretty good. Let's see here. Let me get a good picture that I can show you. It's not a super long, story, but it's definitely up Corben's alley because he still sticks with the whole sci-fi type of theme that he's known for. And there she is right there. As you can see, she got what her mama gave her. And so, yes, Richard Corben actually was featured in a romantic comic. And now I have it. Issue number 3. This is a 4-issue series. I don't care about any of the other issues. I'm just glad that I was able to find one with Richard. It wasn't an expensive book at all. I think it was like a couple bucks. Definitely one of those books that if you found it in your local shop, it would be a buck or two. But I had to get that offline, so it ended up being like a $7 book or something like that. But I got it. Part of my collection now. Next up, we have, this is issue number 14 of Weirdum Comics. And this book, it doesn't have a lot of storylines in it. Not a lot of dialogue at all. It's mostly art. It's mostly just a lot of random pictures and art and really short stories. That's mostly art. Very, very little storylines to this book. This was a keeper, definitely. I think I have one more in the Weirdum series that I'm looking for, and this one usually goes for a pretty penny. Well over. Usually I've seen it for $25 to $35, $40 for this one. I actually bought mine for 20 bucks, which was a lot more than I would have liked to have paid for it, but judging on how much it usually goes for, I thought I better grab this one while I can. So I believe this is not Richard on the outside, but he definitely has one of the stories, which is mostly art on the inside. So this was, one of those ones you don't see as much, and when you do, it usually costs a few bucks. Okay, Next up, this is another one that I thought would be very, very difficult. This is Tales from the Plague, featuring Richard Corben. I was told, I read somewhere that this was the first comic book that featured his art. Does that sound familiar to any of you guys? Somebody let me know if I'm right or wrong about that. But this one usually is between 40 and 50, $55 when I see it. There was two in town, one $40 and another one was 45, which I'm not. There's no way I was paying that for a comic book. I just wasn't willing to do that. So there was this seller online who had posted this with another book, and I didn't want both books, but I asked him, hey, can I just buy the one? He's like, cool. So he offered this to me for 25 bucks. I couldn't say no. It's kind of, got some issues, but if you know me, I don't care too much about that because I read my comic books. It's not all about condition and being super mint and all that nonsense. I want to read my comics. So I was very, very happy to get this one. When I was flipping through it, the pages are like really kind of brittle. I don't know if that is just this copy or if that was all of those copies. This was a Weirdum publication, and it's definitely a first pressing. But this was another one that I thought, this might be pretty tough, to get my hands on. But ooh, the fact that I get to mark it off of the list is just an incredible feeling. Incredible. Some of these books, I just can't believe that I actually got them as easy as I did. Okay, continuing on. Dark Horse Comics, issue number 8 of Creepy, the comic book. Not Creepy the magazine, Creepy the comic book. Featuring Richard Corben. On this one, Corben is just on the cover again. There you got the classic Corben tag he started doing in his later years of art. And I think I have maybe 3 or 4 more of these on my list that I'm trying to knock down. So yeah, and these are a little thicker than your average book. I think this may be an extra 5 or 10 pages long than your average comic book. Yeah, they retail for $4.99. I'm not sure of the exact year. I want to say 2008, but don't quote me on that. But anyway, I'm glad. This is only the second Creepy that I have in my collection as far as the comic books. I do have some of the magazines that I'll be showing you later on, way later on. But yeah, definitely classic Corben art there. Looking forward to finding the rest of those. Next up, this was kind of a weird one too. Not hard to find, not expensive, but a little different. This is from Vertigo, American Splendor. You guys ever heard of this? This was a book where Corben has a story on the inside. I think there's 3, maybe 4 stories in here. I did flip through it, and as you can see from the cover where this guy is going at it with the bathroom maintenance, that's actually the story that Corben does inside of the book. It's just a regular Joe like you and me and her, and yeah, just one of those lifestyle type short stories about a guy just trying to be successful in the privacy of his own home. So this is a couple bucks, I think. $2-3 I pay for this, but it's Corben, so it's definitely a part of my collection. Now I have one more to show you, another very special one, another one that I didn't think I would ever have in my collection, not unless I was extremely lucky, which I kind of feel this way about this one. Now again, as I mentioned, I'm not yet really going super hard for the magazines that feature Corben. I more so am looking for his work in the regular comic book size comics. So when I found this one, I didn't know that this was actually a magazine size. And I will get into some magazine videos in the future, but I felt like because I found this and under the circumstances that I found it, I really wanted to show this to you now because I didn't think I would have it. I really didn't think that this would be a part of my collection. When I would look for this online, I usually saw it going for $70, $80 and above. And there's only, I would only see a few of them. But then I started searching on this other website that I just really started, messing around with. And I found From the Pit, Richard Corben magazine. And I found this for a cool $28. Like I said, I usually saw this from $70 to $120 on average. So $28 seemed like a really cool deal for me from his publishing company, Fanagore. Wow. Because there's no way I'm paying $70, $80, $90 or whatever for a book. I'm done spending crazy money like that. Those days are gone. It's just not going to happen. It's got to be something super duper rare for me to come out of pocket that kind of money. I'm just not going to do it. But From the Pit, for those of you who know about this comic magazine, then you know what I'm talking about. So to finally get this, or to even, have it at all, it's just a blessing. A blessing. Wow, what a haul. This one was incredible for me. I couldn't wait to make a video and show you guys what I got. Wow, I am knocking books off of that Corben list left and right. I was down to about 25 books that I needed, which I think I said that in the last video. I was wrong about that. And I started looking around just a few days ago, and can you believe I found 4 other books featuring Corben that I've never seen or heard of before. So we can look forward to something for the next video, hopefully. We'll see what happens, okay? So right about now, I'm still about 25 or so books away, give or take a couple, from completing my Richard Corben comic collection. After that, we'll have to show you some magazines or some books or both. Until then, we'll see you on the next video. Thank you guys for joining me, and we'll see you hopefully sooner than later with my Richard Corben comic collection part 8. Peace and love.